What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the Marsh Boys podcast. As usual, I'm your host, Brian.
I'm Ryan.
And today we are joined by Tom Nugent of Knives by Nuge from Northern Jersey. How you doing, Tom?
Good. I appreciate you guys having me on.
Yeah,
Oh yeah.
absolutely. I'm glad you hit us up, gave us a follow, followed you back. Looks like you have do some really, really good work.
Thanks, man. It's a lot of work running a small business, as I don't think anybody should be shocked by, but it's a lot of fun doing it. I've had a lot worse jobs in my lifetime, so I'm very happy to be doing this right now.
So, how'd you get started with the whole knife making business? I know you probably get asked this all the time, but just for our listeners' sake.
Just like with different types of fishing and hunting, I have a problem of somebody saying, "Hey, you want to try this?" and then me saying, "Sure," and then like going full tilt into it. It started when I was training jujitsu with one of my buddies, and we were always just hanging out after class. And he's like, "Show me these videos of guys making knives." And at the time, I was doing a lot of woodworking. And he's like, "Yeah, you're pretty handy. You could probably figure this out." And I'm like, you know what, I could. And then like I made the first one, which was like a glorified prison shank. But it worked. It held
Did
an
it have the
edge.
twine on it?
No, it didn't. But it actually, I did it with a hacksaw, a little belt grinder, a Dremel. It was janky. You actually still had the hacksaw marks in it because I had some of them go so deep that I wasn't even going to try to file those out. I'm like, that's just going to have to live there. But it worked. And then I kept making more. And then eventually, it started out with like buddies saying, "Hey, can you make me this?" And then I'm like, "All right, I could do that." And they're like, "Oh, you're going to give me money for this too?" I'm like, "Well, that's pretty neat." And it actually even spiraled even bigger because I started doing it in 2019, and then that little thing in 2020 happened. Um,
Yep.
and one of the worst parts about that for me is that everybody had off during the week, and it drove me nuts. Because before I did this as my full time career, I was a police officer. So I always had like weekdays off. And it was awesome to be able to go fishing and hunting when nobody else was out. But
Mhm.
then there was one time I remember we are going the Neversink River and we went to the unique area, so all the way up in there. And we even bushwhacked a couple miles down. We're like, all right, there's no chance we're going to see anybody here. And then what happens after we walk all the way down there is we see two dudes staring at us in the river, and we're like, "What?" And they
What
have
the
the
Hell
same
are
hell?
kind
you
of look
guys
at
doing
us.
here?
They're like, "How did you end up here?" I'm like, "This is a Tuesday." I'm like, "All right, I need to find something else to do with my time because I do this to, get away from people and de-stress a little bit." And then when you're trying to hike away from people and then you're running into people that are doing the same thing you're trying to do, I'm like, okay, this is gonna have to change a little bit.
Yeah.
And so I really started picking that up more just because it was something fun to do and keep my mind busy and everything. And then, like I said, people started giving me money for this stuff, which was wild.
So you said this is now a full time business, correct?
Yep.
When did you decide, like, okay, I'm making enough money at this, my craftsmanship's good enough, this is what I'm going to do for the rest of my life, or hopefully the rest of your life?
Officially, it was January of 2023, which is when I turned in the badge. I would say unofficially, it was more like 2022 because like I was working both full time at the business and full time as a cop, which was a lot,
I can imagine. Yeah.
Yeah.
it was waking up at like 3 in the morning to get some work done then before the 12-hour shift and then coming back and dealing with customer service stuff afterwards. It was a lot to manage. And it got to the point where I'm like, it wasn't an easy decision to make by any means. I mean, here's a career I
Hmm.
thought I was going to be doing my whole life. And then I'm like,
Hmm.
yeah, see you later, guys. Um, but it got to the point where like I'm enjoying doing this more. And the job itself definitely changed from when I started. I was a cop for about 8 years, and I'm like, the writing was on the wall too that it wasn't about to get any better, especially in the People's Republic of New Jersey. So
Yeah.
Hmm.
that's it's not to get into politics and everything, but it's never
Especially North
fun.
Jersey.
Hell,
Remember, the Mason Dixon line starts at Trenton.
it's funny though because it's almost like how California, you wish you could just like secede that little part from the country and then we'll be all
Yeah.
right. It's the same way with Jersey, where if you got rid of that part, it would be
The
great.
band in the middle. Yeah. If you got rid of the band in the middle, north and south would be totally fine.
But it's tough though because there are some holdouts. Because I did grow up in Bergen County, and
Okay.
that's my like secret that I don't tell my neighbors up here because I live all the way in northern Jersey in the mountains. And I remember when we first moved up here, they're all complaining like, "Man, these people from the city are moving in and ruining the neighborhood in Bergen County." And I'm just like, yeah, those dang people. Me growing up in Bergen County, my girlfriend was living in the city before we moved up here. So I'm like, yeah, those damn people that are coming up here ruining the area. But like, we blended in because we do all the fishing and hunting, and most of the time they were complaining about that. I was in dirty pair of overalls anyway, so they're like, okay, you look like you're one of us. I'm like,
They could complain to you, not of you.
Incognito.
exactly. At least they weren't saying it to my face. But it's nice up here, and it's a different world, which is I think also helped out with the aspect that like none of my neighbors really cared that I was running a shop out of my garage because everything's still run here at the house, and most of them think it's pretty cool. Where like
Yeah.
other places, especially in Bergen County, you'd have everybody like looking at you, staring at you, saying what's going on, hoping that they don't call you into the town. Where up here, nobody really gives you a hard time. It's very nice up here.
Mm-hmm. So I was going to ask, I kind of did a little bit of Instagram stalking, and I saw that originally your passion was woodwork. How did that start? Because I noticed like your handles are beautiful, though, especially the wood ones and stuff like that. How did you get into the woodworking thing?
So that was another thing where like it almost started as more of a kid. I always like being hands-on and crafty and stuff like that. And granted, like I had no support from my parents from doing this kind of stuff because my dad couldn't even screw in a Phillips head screw into a wall if he had to. Bless his heart, but like it just wasn't his thing. He was very good at his job, but it was not working with his hands.
Mm-hmm.
But then I had lots of people that would help me along with that stuff, especially like the Boy Scouts was one of the biggest influence on that because you always had all the merit badges, you had scout camp, you had all these things that guys would actually show you and teach you with their knowledge and pass it on to you. So like
the cars you have to sand down and all that.
The little Pinewood Derbies, they just so you know, you're talking to a 2-time Pinewood Derby champ. Oh yeah,
watch
Roll
out!
Beers and Weeblos to watch
I'd be advertising that on the Instagram.
I
now.
came in like second to last, I think, on mine. Mine was a brick.
I wasn't a Boy Scout.
Yeah, well, I probably wouldn't be the guy I was without them because I'd just probably be another Bergen County brat. But luckily, I had those guys that got me out in the woods and everything and showed me that there's something else to all of this than just the suburbs. But it really started from that. And then yet again, like I had a couple coworkers that would help me out. One of the guys had his giant wood shop at his house. He is a self-proclaimed wood whore. He was a cop, he was a captain there. And whenever like a walnut tree would come down or something, he'd be like stopping in his patrol car and be like, so what are you guys going to do with that? And they're like, I don't know, have it removed. It's a tree. And he's like, well, what if I did it? And they're like, whatever, dude, just go away. But he would give me access to his tools, his shop. He really showed me the ways, made sure I didn't cut my fingers off and everything. So it was nice having him to really get into it. And then, but when it came to making the knives, though, one thing that I realized that I could do this in a lot smaller space than woodworking. You know, you're talking about a much smaller material that you're working with, like the blade steel and everything else. Like we built the kitchen table for our house, and man, just swinging that thing around the garage was difficult. So it's like I wish I had a pole barn, but I don't. So it ended up being like I enjoyed doing both, but I had the space to do the knives more, and just kind of picked up from there.
I saw your cutting boards; they were really nice.
Thank you.
Yeah, I agree.
So
I feel bad because I want to break out the woodworking tools, but there's just no room in the shop anymore. Everything has been claimed.
I'm about to try to build us a new podcast table, and I might be able to build it in the basement, but I'm not sure if I'm going to be able to get it out.
That's about a year away anyway. He'll keep putting
that'll be a little while.
Yeah, it's going to be another next weekend project.
Yep.
Yeah.
So
a couple more days.
On the technical side of thing, I wanted to ask with your knives, do you forge them yourself? Do you buy like flat stock? How do you go about making the actual metal themselves?
I'm doing it all stock removal. So I don't bang the hammer around all day. I already got arthritis in my shoulder. So I don't think that would be very helpful. And that's also when the neighbors may get a little pissed, is if they hear a hammer and anvil going 24/7, get a big power hammer. That's when they may start knocking on the door saying, all right, knock it off. But all stock removal. And now we're actually moving into where I'm doing both, where I'm having some production stuff done. So I'm grinding the blades. I mean, that's what I was doing all day yesterday, was grinding steel. But then also for more volume purposes, I'm having a company out in Seattle that does a lot of like American Knife Company's blades. They have the big $1 million machine and the man who knows how to run it. Because that's not my budget right now to pick up one of those. So I also don't even know where I'd put something that large. But I'm having them work on that kind of stuff, and then having another company out in Ohio work on the handles. And it's so that way I could do volume without having to kill myself every day, because it's a lot of work doing everything yourself. And
Yeah.
if I was to do everything myself, I could probably get 12 to 20 knives out a week, which is what I was doing. But the demand's been so high, like I wasn't able to keep up with that feasibly. So now I'm having to do both, which is, I spend like half my day on the cell phone or the computer, and I'm like, oh shit, now I got to work. And we're allowed to curse on this podcast, right? Is that all right?
Absolutely, go ahead.
Absolutely.
Yeah, you're
All
good.
right, good. Because I'm like, man, now I got to actually go make a living now after trying to deal with everybody else to help me make a living. So it's a little all over the place in the moment. I'm hoping to lean more towards doing, like, once I figure this whole business thing out, have more of the production lineup, be like the meat, potatoes of the lineup, everything covered that way, and then let me do more custom work, because that stuff's fun.
Yeah. Now, with your blades, what kind of metal are you using? Do you use Damascus steel, regular steel?
I'm using a lot of regular steel, mostly stainless, and a good amount of high carbon too, just depending on which one. I mean, people just like stainless though. I mean, it's just
it's clean.
They don't want to take care of it. They don't want to oil it or anything like that, which I feel. But
when I worked at the outdoor shop over at Ramsey Outdoor, the question we got for the knives, the majority of the time was, is this the rusty kind or the not so rusty kind? And I'm like, that's what most everyday people really care about, whether they're going to be able to maintain it. And like, everything has its pros and cons, and it's not one thing is perfect, because that's one thing I get on everybody, where they'll try to like say something's bad or not good. I'm like, no, it's just not for you. Like, it may just not be for you. Like, some
they
people
can't use the cast iron pan.
It's like
yeah, exactly.
I learned Damascus is not for me.
Yeah.
Oh, you let it rust?
That's probably the first time I've pulled this thing out of the sheath in 2 years.
Yeah, well, that's same thing with high carbon steel like that. It's just it needs a little bit of maintenance on it, or it's going to get a nice patina to it, which is fine as well though, because like, people are so afraid to like use their stuff or get it dirty, get it rusty. I'm like, it makes my day when I see somebody's knife that is like beat to crap, and I'm like, that's awesome.
Because they got their money out of it. Yeah,
you should see all my pocket. That's probably when we were doing cows, I used that knife almost every day. And then after that, like, I wasn't doing as much. Now I just had the little pocket knives, and that's So it's been sitting there as a showpiece.
Do you watch Alex Steele by any chance on YouTube?
I did, but now I don't watch as many videos like that, because as you can imagine, like, this is my life now. So I kind of like to.
It's
when
progressed from a hobby to.
I have to deal with this like 24 hours a day. So it's like,
you don't want to spend your off time watching him, gold inlay a sword or something like that.
Exactly. I used to when it was like the hobby, but now as the business, I actually find myself watching more and more like outdoor videos again, because it like is flip flopping. Because when I was getting into knife making, it was all watching that kind of stuff, like Alex Steele, Walter Sorrells. I never had anybody train me. I learned off of YouTube. So like, I have everything to thank for those guys, but now I'm like, all right, I'm done with you guys. I want to go like fishing again. Like, that's what I'm interested in doing again.
Did you watch the Outdoor Boys at all?
Oh yeah. And now RIP.
Yeah. Did you see he canceled that, or he's done with that? That's actually really sad, because it was him and this dude from over in Europe called Shay or whatever. They I don't know. It's kind of sad, because those were really authentic experiences, and they're both kind of gone now.
I tell you what, I watched his videos, and not what turned me off of him, but what made me laugh is when he would blow a duck call. That was the most. It had to have been a handmade duck call.
I know, but
it had to have been.
But the some of the stuff he did.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Was insane, like absolutely insane.
No, he knew what he was doing. It was crazy.
Maybe not on the duck call side of things.
No, he doesn't know how to blow a duck call.
But for the amount of experience the guy has, though, and the way, like, he is like the definition of how to create damn good content. He knows how to do it. But also, I don't blame him for turning it in. I mean, I heard him talk about one story where he already lives in a remote ass place of the world. He lives in Alaska, and people are still tracking him down,
showing up to his house.
Like, imagine he lived in Jersey with all these people around. Like, it would not. he not even showing up to the house. He talked about one story where these guys pulled up beside him, saw it was him and his wife, pulled in front, and then slammed on the brakes on the highway to stop him and meet him, saying that they came to Alaska to see him. And
That's
I'm like,
wild.
I would have very choice words with
Yeah.
somebody if they did that to me.
Yeah.
Luke is not Mr. Nice and Friendly. If you're stopping me in a highway to get my attention like that, you're just not going to like the outcome of everything. It's not going to be the friendly YouTuber you're expecting.
It'd be the same way if somebody showed up at our duck hole and was like, "Hey, we know you're duck hunting here. We just want to come here and meet you." And I'd be like,
that'd go up my butt.
"Well, DM us. We'll meet you. Don't steal our spot in the morning."
Yeah. Or people want to do a shop tours here. And I'm like, guys, my shop is right next to where I sleep at night. So it's not a public place.
No,
and especially when they're like, "Don't worry, I'm cool." I'm like, now I don't think you're cool.
Yeah.
Because somebody
you even less
wouldn't
now.
say that.
Yeah.
That's not what somebody who's being cool would say to me right now. So
the fact that you came and found where I lived makes you not cool.
Yeah, but sometimes people also don't. It's a funny part about like being on the internet, and as you guys probably know with the podcast, people listen to you all the time. They see my face posting videos all the time. They build a relationship with you, but it's a one-sided relationship because you don't talk with them, but they hear your voices and see your face.
They think they know you. They think they're your friend.
I don't think we've gotten to the point where, like, there is definitely some instances where we can relate to that. Like, I could probably name most of our viewers, but like what I meant to say was like somebody like Ranella, somebody like Rogan, somebody like the Midwest Flyway guys. Like, I'm sure that happens to them all the time. The Bayou Dragons guys, like, because obviously if you're doing content, you want to be relatable. You're not going to get away with it if you're not a relatable person. So it's nothing that we're faking or anything.
But it's not an invite to our house.
Yeah, it's not an invite to our house. It's not an invite to where we goose hunt. It's not an invite to where we trap. No, you're 100% right.
Yeah.
It's not an invite to your shop.
And
house.
It's like, just like, but I do shows in person, and that's where it's like, come see me there and everything.
Yes.
And also, if I were just randomly encounter with somebody, I'm not going to be like rude to them and like hiss at them and tell them to go away. I remember last year around the lake, it was just like one of those days at work where it just sucks. Even though I love what I do, it just sucked. And I'm like, we live on Upper Greenwood Lake. Not that anybody's going to come track me down now. I don't really care. And like I said, after all this, maybe you don't want to come to my house.
He owns a knife shop, guys. Come on.
You will get shanked.
Yeah. And so we're like, all right, let's just go on the lake. We just took the little tin boat out. We just went to one of the islands that we could hang out and swim at, have a couple beers. And like, we just anchor up. And like, the first thing I hear is like, "Hey, are you Nuge?" And I'm just like, under my breath, I'm like, "God fucking damn it." But he was a customer of mine, and he's bought like 4 of my knives. So it was great to meet him and everything. But I'm like, okay, put on like nice guy face. Not I just had a really shitty long day and just wanted to sit on my boat and drink a beer in the sun.
Yeah.
But he was cool.
Yeah.
So that was fine. But it's like, and I'm not saying I'm Luke from Outdoor Boys, but it's just funny when that kind of stuff happens. But it's because people hear you all the time and they see the content. You want to be relatable, because even like when I'm selling stuff and everything, they want to know that like I am one of them. Like all the knives I made are for fishing and hunting, which is actually most of my customer base right now is like everyday carry land, which they like nerd out on steel types, what's in their pockets, all the other stuff. And I'm like kind of like sort of an outlier, but they keep buying my stuff anyway. Cause I'm like, guys, like this is meant for like opening up a pheasant. Like I didn't design it to open up your Amazon package, but if it could clean a bird, it could definitely open up a package.
That's fair.
And it's like, they're all meant for actual use purposes. Not saying that like everyday carry is an actual use, but most of the time, like you get by with like a box cutter.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's also nice having something, handmade, real, fine-tuned. That's a nice thing to have. And more on that, I kind of really wanted to know, what's your favorite custom knife that you've ever made? Like, what's the one that you go back to that's the coolest thing I ever made?
The problem is that it keeps changing. It's I got one here in front of me.
Which is great.
I just finished up, and it was like, I don't like to keep a ton of knives because that's how I get paid, is by selling knives. But I've been working on a special collaboration for this upcoming show that I got called Blade Show in June. And we did a spin-off with one of my buddies of one of my main models, and we changed it up a little bit. But it's the Wicked XL, but we did it with this harpoon clip. And I did, whenever I'm doing a batch and there's like a specific number I got to hit, like there was 10 of them, I always make 11 for the inevitable fuck up. So this was the just in case knife, and I didn't screw up the other 10 of them. So I'm like, all right, let me make this one a little bit fancy. So I did the satin finish on the blade and on the harpoon swedge up there, acid wash on the flats, and then it's desert ironwood with texturing on it. So it's just a classy piece, and I really want to open up a deer with it this year. And I'm like, that's why this is like, this one's gonna be kept in mind. I'm like, it just also is that little fanciness to it. But
yeah,
some of the more memorable ones are probably like, the first knives that I made, like those ones that got like stories to them, knives. I've made a couple fillet knives and I'm trying to make more of them. I got one of them actually here, and I've been working with a couple people trying to dial it in. Fillet knives are a pain in the ass to do.
Is that because they're flexible?
They gotta be flexy, and you can't rig them up in a jig or anything because of all this flex. So, and it's even so when you're grinding it, your thumb is on the back spine of it, and as it gets thinner and thinner up here, your thumb is like kissing the ceramic grinding belts that you're using. So you're getting very friendly with your belt grinder. So they're dicey, and I really want to dial it in, but like it's tough because it takes a lot of using and experience and everything. And even we went out striper fishing in the Raritan Bay a couple weeks ago, and my buddy who's a guide down there, he took us out, and I was about to use this fillet knife for the first time on a striper, but I handed it to him. I'm like, even though he just drove us around the boat all day, can you clean my fish too? Not
with my knife,
but not for the fact that like I was being lazy. But I'm like, you clean fish every day. I want to hear what you have to say about this, because of me using it, like I don't do this every day. Like I'll know that it's working like a knife, but I won't know if it's how he would like it or not. And even one thing we found out is that this one has too much flex for bigger fish like striper and stuff like that. But it's like for fluke and getting those fine cuts around there, he's like, you actually like that little bit of extra flex there. So, but that kind of feedback is what helps me out with these kind of things, making these designs, like, because I can't figure it out on my own. Like I don't have enough experience out there to say I'm the best at everything. Like I do a little bit of everything, and that's also kind of my problem, is that I have too many hobbies and too much gear downstairs that I can't use. But I've got so many buddies that like I'll trust with like their opinion on things when it comes to like fishing, hunting. Like I've got the friends that I know where I'm like, don't know if this edge is going to hold up to abuse, and I know you're going to destroy this thing because you're a gorilla. So please give me your feedback after you use it, because like I can't do it all myself. I need other people's help and input with these kind of things.
Yeah, that's like I know he was saying it's a little flimsy for like striper, and I'm assuming sea bass and stuff like that. Like I know personally, we like a very stiff, which is weird. We like a stiff fillet knife because 90% of the time we're filleting catfish.
Oh yeah, yeah. And you need the backbone of the knife to get through that.
And what's funny is the other 10% of the time we're filleting crappier bluegill,
which you want to be able to get around those ribs nice and easy. You don't need a whole lot of knife.
I didn't ever realize that there was a grade to fillet knives. I did actually think that they were all about the same. I didn't realize that the amount of flex would actually inhibit, getting the meat off the fish.
Well, it depends if you really need the power or not to push through it. And that's really because some fish you really need to, especially if you're going through ribs and stuff like that. And that's what some of my buddies from the OK as Fisher podcast, they've been helping me out with the design of this thing. And they go for
that's awesome.
They're out in Wisconsin and they're going after salmon and stuff like that. We have like steelhead up in Pulaski that we go after, but we would never keep them because also, I don't know, the water up there is, if you've been up to Pulaski, New York, they could keep the fish. I don't want to get it out of there.
It's like fishing up by Monroe or one of those refineries.
That's like trying to eat the muskie out of Newark.
Yeah, or going pike fishing over in Patterson. Yeah, actually, there's no pike fishing there. Don't go over there. But I also wouldn't ever eat a fish out of there because you're fishing next to like dumpsters, heroin needles, all sorts of stuff, and that's classic Jersey.
Have you ever seen? I've asked so many people, and Cermelli's the only one. He's the one that told us about it. Have you seen the YouTube video Fishing in Gotham City?
Mm-hmm.
That is the wildest
I
fishing
love
video
that,
I've
man.
ever seen in
Hold
my
on,
life.
fill me in.
It's a bunch of guys that drink coffee and take their garbage out, catching
Oh, it's the most
stripers like
New
we would
York,
never catch.
New Jersey fishing video ever.
Is the hair slicked back and the gold chain out?
No, this is real Jersey, not
Like-
the Staten Island Jersey. These
Like
are
guys-
Jersey, New York. Taxi driver with the striper set up in his taxi.
Yes,
cab.
yes. He put the striper in the trunk of his taxi cab, took it to his mom's house, and filleted it on newspaper in the kitchen table of this like 300 square foot apartment
The guy
in the sink.
the guy filming him was like, "Well, what if you have a fare with luggage?" And he's like, "Well, I guess that's their problem." And I'm like, such a New York like way to go about things, and it's just that's also why I love this area. I hate people around here at times, but I also love them because like we're just such ourselves.
Character.
It's comedy
yeah.
gold.
Yeah,
Like that's the one thing I've learned is like in New Jersey, it doesn't matter north, more so south. It doesn't matter south or north or the Philly area. They're not going to lie to you. They're going to tell you about yourself.
Yeah. Oh, they'll
yeah.
tell you about yourself.
We're very real people.
Did you hear about the Delco shitter?
No.
I knew you were going to bring that up.
I'm sorry, I had to. It's like the prime moment of this year.
This was what, 2 weeks ago?
Yeah. Somebody got in road rage in the Philly area. I don't know if you're familiar with 476.
No, but I'm familiar with Philly and how Philly is.
One of the highways, this lady had road rage.
It wasn't a
and
highway. It was a suburban neighborhood.
Was it?
Yes. It was at a 4-way stop sign.
She got on top of the hood of the car she was road raging on and shit on it. Like live. Like right in front of everyone.
She stopped in the intersection,
Mhm.
got out,
Stopped the
shit
car.
on a hood,
It's
got
like
on the hood.
Philly, to be fair.
Yeah.
It's like
laughed at the girl, and got back in her car and drove off.
She got charged with public indecency and littering of all things. And when I heard littering,
the littering.
I lost
You
it.
know that cop was just being cheeky when he threw that one in. Where he's just like, yeah, I could sprinkle this one in. We can get some creative report writing with this
Oh,
one.
they'll charge her.
Oh yeah, the book's pretty big. And if you ever seen the book, it's big.
And there's a video, and she can't. There's no denying what she did.
It's all over the place. It's so funny.
But like
You should-
most people in the state, though, it's like it has that level of crust to it. But it's almost like if you're all right and you're cool, like they give you like the head nod.
Oh, absolutely.
Like surf fishing all the time, that's where it's huge. And like because guys don't give up info for nothing. But nowadays it seems like every teenager out there has a GoPro on their head and now they're a Sharpie, which I just find hilarious because if you were that much of a Sharpie, you wouldn't be filming everything. Like you film and post that stuff in the summertime. Like, but most of the guys that would be like, we used to fish Sandy Hook all the time because it's close to us. It's an easy drive, like an hour and change from here. And like you'd be on the lineup and you'd be on the rip. And as long as everybody was cool and everybody was casting in the same direction, like it was fun. Everybody would be hanging out, bullshit and talking. It's only when you had that one jackwagon who is casting sideways and everybody's in the lineup. That's when you would have a lot of Jersey come out.
So my dad was big into the South Jersey coastal, like Cape May, Fortescue, Atlantic City, big into the South Jersey coastal surf fishing scene.
Yeah.
They'd buy a truck bed full of beer, and go down to the shore and catch bluefish, stripers, weekies. And Ryan loves this story. I think it's one of the best stories he tells. They went down, they bought there's a picture, a literal truck bed full of beer. And they parked on the beach, they're drinking, fishing. Well, I guess they started catching bluefish. And these guys ran down the beach, sat up next to them, and cast it out in front of them. And this is now from the point of view of my dad's buddy, Sean. He said, my dad threw a beer can in the bed of the truck, grabbed his fishing pole, cut the hook off, tied 2 sinkers on, walked out 20 feet into the water, turned left, and cast straight, reeled the rod in, dropped the rod on the beach, and kept fishing.
Yeah, that sounds about right. We had a guy once, he was this freaking Guggen. It was at the rip. And like, I'm normally fairly level-headed, especially when it comes to dealing with other people. It probably comes from being a cop too, where it's like, I'm not about to like lose my lid on somebody for doing something stupid, because it's just like
Mhm.
you have an entire career of dealing with stupid.
Mhm.
But at one point I felt like I got punched in the back of the head, and I'm like, what? And I turn around, and like I'm like, what happened? And my buddy told me, he's like, yeah, he just hit you with his bucktail. And at the rip, it's like it's a shipping channel that comes right across the front of Sandy Hook. And I don't feel like I'm spot burning, because if you've never heard of Sandy Hook before, then you're already a little short. But like it goes down to like 30, 40 feet right there. So you need a lot of weight, especially on the outgoing, to get into the right zone. And so when that hit me in the back of the head, I turned around and he's like, he was all apologetic. I'm like, bro, like, just throw it straight. It's not
Yeah.
hard. I'm to your side. How did you hit me with this thing? And then we're fishing and fishing. And this time I get hit in the back and it goes through my jacket. And I'm like, these are gigantic hooks on these things too. And if that went into my back, I rip it off my jacket and I look at him. I'm like, if you don't leave this fucking spot, your rod is going to be somewhere it doesn't belong inside you. And like, he just kind of looked at me. I'm like, the first time was okay, but the second time, and I'm like, there's also plenty of beach here to fish. If you're not ready to fish the lineup, then don't. It's fine. Like, no, just go fish the edges while you get like dialed in. But it's when like everybody needs to be like acting in accordance for it to work, because we all know it's busy and it's a weekend and everybody's trying to get out there. We all just got to work together. But if you're the one guy who's not helping out, and we tried being nice, but now you're also potentially going to hurt somebody or send somebody to the hospital, that's when it's like choice words are going to come out and you need to move to the end of the line, like, because you're going to hurt somebody.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And that comes down to etiquette and the drop in etiquette we saw after COVID.
Yeah.
We've seen that a lot. I mean, I didn't really get into hunting until after COVID, but fishing I did, so I kind of understood what was going on. It seems like a lot of people that, I mean, granted, it's great that people are trying to get involved in the outdoors, but when you go out and you take somebody's spot and you fight it, it makes it not enjoyable for everyone.
And after COVID, a lot of things changed. And I saw working as a cop, like, people dehumanized other people because we were all so isolated. We were all in our own little worlds. And it doesn't take long for something to go feral, including humans. And we forgot that there's another person at the other end of the conversation, or who you're dealing with, especially driving. I'm sure you guys have noticed around here since 2020, the roads and Jersey's never been known for good drivers.
The cowboy lane is always open, according to Nissan Altimas with fuzzy wheels.
Of course.
Subaru.
But it's like they forgot like the bopping and weaving. I'm like, you guys also don't understand, like, that's a human in there, and humans are very fragile. We think we're invincible, but we're not. So like people just in general got dehumanized from everybody else, because we were all by ourselves. And then when everybody came back together, it's like we have to learn how to be people again and be nice to each other again. And that is, I think it's coming back. Most people are a little bit more relaxed. I also think the big outdoor boom that happened is slowing down.
People are falling
I
off.
agree 100%.
I get that. Yeah.
I wish boat prices would go down.
I wish shotgun shell prices would go down.
Shotgun shell prices,
Everything.
yeah.
But I was just, of course, my girlfriend was staring at me yesterday when I was looking at brand new Lunds. And I'm like, honey, we'd be saving money, because look at this guy on Facebook Marketplace. He wants more for a 10-year-old boat than I could get it brand new delivered to the house on a truck. And she's like, well, we're saving money that way. I'm like, see? We need to buy it.
I saw a 2013 Kia Largo that I wanted really, really bad, and they want like 20 grand for it. I'm like, what? You probably paid that much for it new.
And like, it was one thing when there wasn't any demand, like where there wasn't any boats and there was a high demand. Like, our first boat that we got was just, and I still love the thing. It's just a little 14.5-foot tinner that we got for $500 with boat motor and trailer, and had to redo everything. So the woodworking skills came back out then. And I love the thing. It's taken us on plenty of adventures and stuff like that, but it's getting time to upgrade. But you're looking at these boat prices and you're like, I don't know about that. And also, I don't know if I want another project. I'm busy enough with working with my hands now that I don't know if I want to do that again.
There's a racing boat in Salem County right now. It's $100 for boat and trailer.
No, that's already gone.
Engine needs love.
Well,
Oh
no.
yeah,
there's no title.
carbs just need to be cleaned.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Oh
and
yeah,
my!
the
I
class.
just
no
went through this the
titles.
other day. My
Yeah.
buddy's looking for a 90 horse, and we found a Mercury. It just says, "Yeah, sitting for a couple years, just needs the carb clean." I'm like,
Ran
yeah,
the
like,
last time we run it. Well, you haven't run it in 3 years.
like every other motor on marketplace.
Yeah.
But that's.
Last-
But I do remember when I have a 16-foot, like 16 and a half, 17-foot John boat, and I paid $1,500 for it in the wintertime. I remember back before COVID, like if you waited till October, November, December, you could get boats cheaper because nobody wanted to winterize
Yeah, they
them.
wanted to get rid
Yeah.
of them.
And now it's just like everybody has
know what
a
it's
$1,500 boat, $2,000 boat, and it's like, man, like, no, you don't.
No, and it's like some of the stuff that's out there. I'm like, this needs a lot of work. Like that's like it's, and also too with everybody's used stuff that gets sold. I'm just kind of overbuying used at this point because
Oh,
Yeah.
not the last motor I bought, but the last two, both carbs need to be cleaned. I mean, the pontoon boat we got up here, said it ran fine. The upper and the lower was blown on the thing, so that was shot. Then the next motor we got for that thing, carbs just need to be cleaned. And thankfully I did a redneck trade for it where we traded the pontoon boat trailer for the motor. So I wasn't like totally out. And my neighbor's got a trailer. So he launches it for us. And it's not like the tin boat that we go everywhere with. This thing just sits in our lake. But apparently he went a little crazy with the RTV on this thing. And now all the carbs are all gummed up to the point where my boat mechanic had the carbs in one of those ultrasonic cleaners for 40 hours. Multiple times in and out, and it's got that little sweet spot where you're accelerating it, you hold, the RPMs go down a bit, and if you do it, it'll flood it. But if you let it catch up, then you got to hit send. It just takes that little feathering.
Well, look, I know a guy. He'll hook you up with a brand new
That's how it always
Suzuki.
starts. I know a guy.
I know a guy. He'll hook you up with a brand new Suzuki. That was the best decision I've ever made, hands down, since I've started hunting and fishing.
It
I
is
went
a
through,
payment, but I do like where Suzuki's have went. Like Yamahas are good too. I'm actually kind of blown away by his Suzuki.
That's what I got last year. I got after the boat motor I bought for the tin boat. Another thing, carbs just need to be cleaned. Apparently, the guy sank it because when I did the oil on the thing, it was chocolate milk, and I'm like,
oh.
So
I went up like kind of near you, like up near MetLife.
Yeah.
I bought a Evinrude E-Tech from a guy, and he was like, he ran it in the driveway, everything. We ran it for like 20 minutes, throttle up, throttle down, idle, in gear, out of gear, all that. He had to have done some kind of witchcraft on this thing. You can ask him. I took it out one time and had no problems with it.
And then after that, I just had problems.
So I bought my boat with a Tohatsu 30. Had a Tohatsu 30. Which was realistically back in the day is basically a 25, a Merc 25. Blew the lower unit in that, which I kind of knew I was going to do. I was just running it to run it till I got a new motor. I bought I think I put a Johnson on it after that.
I don't remember the Johnson. I just remember the E-Tech.
And then I went to an E-Tech, and I loved my E-Tech. But like I said, after the first time, every single time I took it out, I had problems. I snapped the pull cord in it. The nipple on the fuel filter went, like the fuel pump basically.
And then the ECM went. And
then the impeller went with me, you, and Aaron. And then eventually the ECM ended up going in it. So I told my girlfriend, my fiance now, I said, I don't have a truck payment. We don't own anything. Like, I could just go buy a brand new motor. So we started looking it up, and I looked at Suzuki, or I looked at everything. I looked at Mercury's too expensive. I wanted a 30 horse. And I wanted everything on it. If I was going to buy a mobile boat motor, I wanted, obviously a tiller. I wanted electric start. I wanted power trim and tilt. I wanted the pull start backup. I wanted it all.
A massage chair too while you're at it.
I wish if that thing had a vibrating handle, we'd be set. So I looked at
beer pops up for you. Hello, Mr. Brian. Your beer is ready.
Thanks, Jarvis.
Yeah. So I looked at the Tohatsu, and for what they were for the price point, I think it was like $6,000 for a 30 horse. I was like, I'm gonna steer away from them. Yamaha wanted over $7,000. Merc wanted over $7,000.
They have the names.
And then finally I called, huge shout out to Sundog Marina. I called Josh over there and he was like, yeah, I got a brand new Suzuki 30 horse sitting here. It's white, which is what I wanted, oddly, for a waterfowl hunter. And I'll never wrap it because I think the white
I was
just
gonna say
looks,
rattle cans could fix that.
now the white looks to me, I love white. It looks sharp to me. He was
needs
like,
a
yeah, I got
cover
one
when
here.
you go
Come get it today.
waterfowl
We'll get you
hunting.
financed. So I financed it and I told my fiance, I was like, yeah, it's $150 a month. And she was like, for how long? And I was like, oh, it's 7 years. She was like, well, you've had a lot of problems. And she loves going out on the boat. So it was a no-brainer.
It's
for us.
nice when you can go out and there's not going to be something
Yeah.
wrong.
That's why we got the new one last year. We got a Suzuki 15 because at one point we were fishing the Raritan Bay. This was like 2 years ago, and the motor that came with it, we got our $500 out of that thing. Between boat motor and trailer, we did. But it was an old '84 Evinrude 15, and the thing, just like the other motor, it had its quirks, and sometimes it didn't like to start right away. And up on freshwater, it's fine; it's not a big deal. But when you're fluke fishing the shipping channel and the Raritan Bay and the sea ferries
yeah.
coming your way,
You gotta
and
move.
your old Evinrude don't want to start,
Mhm.
you start thinking about buying a new one very fast because the the ferry that goes back and forth to New York City, it doesn't stop if you're in the way. It runs you over and calls the Coast Guard, said, hey, I ran over some idiots in the channel. You may want to go look into that. They're not going to
So that's
stop.
happened.
They'll just go right into you. They don't. It's your responsibility to get out of their way. They're not stopping.
You think the Cape May ferry would do that?
No. I have to go across that in a month.
Yeah, I don't trust it either, especially when you see that. And also too, the wake from that thing, like after the motor wouldn't start, so we threw down the trolling motor just to like get us out of there a little bit.
Yeah.
But then once we got out of its path, I had to zip the boat around so the front was facing the wake, so I could at least. I didn't want to hit it sideways or back by the transom. That would have probably been even more problems. But yeah, it was not fun, and it made it's like, you know what? We just need a new motor. And the nice part about this Suzuki, it showed up in a box at my house with a warranty card on it. And I'm like, I like this. I like this. Less worries, less problems. And like, I gave it to a guy down the street, the old Evinrude, and he's like, what do you want for it? I'm like, I don't know. It's been sitting in a 5-gallon, a trash bucket for like a year. Just take it. Do whatever you want with it. He's like, you don't want to fix it up? I'm like, I don't have the time to be messed around with this kind of thing.
I got a brand new motor. What do you mean?
Just take it. I got my use out of it. Just do whatever you want with the thing. And it's like time versus money, because now it's like running this business. Like I don't have days off anymore.
Yeah.
It's like, and even like when I went out with my buddy who's a guy down in the Raritan Bay, like a couple of other friends, like, come on, we can go out in the surf, we could do that. And I'm like, the surf bite hasn't been that great. And also too, I'm like, if I'm going to take a day off, I'd rather spend a little bit more money and up my chances of getting into it. Because like when I was younger and just working in an outdoor shop, like I had a little bit more energy then. I can't go work all day and go surf fishing all night and then come back and work the next day anymore. It doesn't work like that anymore.
Living off of caffeine and a dream.
You and Bob the Garbage Man.
Oh God. Yeah.
That's the
characters.
Funniest.
But
do you follow him?
Oh yeah, but he's the guy from Gotham City Nights. He's like the epitome of
is he really?
No, but you know what I mean.
Okay.
He's the type of person that is in that entire show.
Yeah, I forget who like makes that character. It's somebody Cermelli's had on a bunch of times. It's one of them captains up there.
I think he's down south. I don't think he's what you call it up here. I'm pretty sure I know who it is. But this is from deductive reasoning. I don't have any proof of any of this. So
no, like there's been
you're a cop. I believe your deductive reasoning.
I'll have to I'll let you know like after we're done and I'll look into it. But like he's said like he plays a couple characters that used to call in when he did Bent and all that.
Yeah.
But no, like you are right. Like he epitomizes like the 90s striper fisherman.
Yep. And there's just something to that too, where it's like they were just who they were, which was kind of nice. Because now in the world of social media, everybody seems to like play up what they are and what they do. And that's also why I liked your guys' podcast, because you guys were just like genuine. You know what I mean?
Two dudes that should not have microphones in front of them.
And they got them because of the internet.
Because we work 45 hours a week and we can do what we want with our money.
Yeah. But like that's such a breath of air from like everybody who gets in front of the camera and it's like they put on the face and then it's like, well, hi guys, and you're like, just stop it. Are you actually like that?
Yeah,
Like you don't speak like that,
Dude, if you
normally.
talk to me like that in public, I'm gonna punch you.
Well, and
there's
I get it because people are
that's-
trying to make a living off of doing this kind of stuff,
Yeah.
but they
Mhm.
don't really realize that like people will resonate with you more if you are who you are.
Yeah,
Mhm.
like that's a big reason why we don't real there's very few outdoor brands that we have back on and we endorse and stuff like that. Like I don't watch a whole lot of outdoor like waterfowl YouTubers and stuff, fishing YouTubers. Like there is a lot I watch, but there's a lot more that I won't watch and put my time into.
Well, it's different. The difference is we do this for fun. They do this for money. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? We got jobs. That's what I
Yeah,
do.
but I do this for money too, and I don't shuck. I mean, I shuck and jive daily because that's what I need to do. However, though, when I meet somebody in person from the content I put out, from whether it's podcasts, Instagram, at shows, whenever they get to actually meet me, it's like, oh, you sound just like you do normally. I'm like, well, what do you expect me to sound like? Like, of
Mhm.
course,
Exactly.
this is just how I talk, and this is
Yeah,
how I am. I'm not gonna, I'm obviously I don't let all my deep opinions come out at times because we don't need to put that out on the internet. But like you're getting who I am, and that's what matters the most. So you could do it, and that's one thing we talked about. Luke from Outdoor Boys. The reason why everybody loved him is because he's relatable. He's just
Oh,
a
yeah.
goofy dad.
Yeah,
Who likes
he
to
is,
go
likes to do
outside.
he is
crazy
quite
stuff when the
literally the
kids are away.
stereotypical dad.
Yeah.
I love it.
But
He
I-
probably has white Nikes.
you think you need to be Bear Grylls, but you really need to be Luke. That's
Yeah,
what you
fair
really
enough.
need to be.
Yeah.
Like,
Mhm.
because also Bear Grylls is fake as hell. I mean,
Oh,
I
yeah.
don't take his past experience and everything, but like we all know
The
that
show.
was Hollywood. Yeah, like
Yeah.
everything before he did the show. I'm sure he's legit. But like
What?
when
Daniel Tosh Point oh, I don't know if you're familiar with
Yeah.
Tosh Point oh. Daniel Tosh did a bit, and it was like, look at this crazy Brit eating bat shit. It was like, we could just sprinkle granola on the ground. It's like, gotta eat your bat shit if you want to survive.
yeah, but it's like even like there was that one episode with the wild horse that he tamed. It was a fucking broken horse, and I'm like,
Yeah, I
but that's what
remember
like,
that.
but even guys like at the same time, like Les Stroud from Survivor Man, because this is going back to like me as a
Oh,
young
I
Boy Scout
loved
watching this shit
Survivor
all the
Man.
time.
Survivor Man was good.
He was my shit. Yeah.
I started watching it again and seeing him with a 2x4 attached to his waist and the giant camera makes me feel so happy I have an iPhone and a GoPro. Because he's walking around with this gigantic contraption filming himself. Not
But
only
he's
does he have to
another
survive,
dude.
he has to do all this stuff.
Mhm.
Well, that was
he's,
like,
he's another dude. That's why he took off, because like he's actually out there doing that stuff. It's not like Naked and Afraid or
Yeah.
something like that. Yeah.
that's like so Jeff Foyles talked about that when we had him on when we had him on, and he was like it was hard in the early 2000s getting into the media deal because you had to lug around these like TV standard cameras if you wanted good footage.
Dude, I couldn't imagine.
Like
Well-
back like to your point with the whole GoPro and the iPhone, like it's amazing what we can
Mhm.
do with a 6x2 inch piece of equipment.
There's an iPhone on 2 cans of paint right now
Yeah,
to
no,
record us.
two cans of
Started a
Valspar.
business with an iPhone and Instagram. Like,
Yeah.
and like we talked about Joe Smelly a bit, like, because he's another Jersey guy. He talks about the industry of old and what, because from his days of being an editor of Field and Stream, Saltwater Magazine, all the other things, like it was a different world to get into this. You needed that kind of legacy stuff to get in.
Absolutely.
Where even like with where I'm at right now, there's so many new brands popping up in Knifeland that are going against like the Buck Knives or the Gerbers or all these other guys. And there's nothing wrong with all of them. They put out a great product. It's just that now you have so many small niche markets that can come up from these kind of things. Like even some douche in New Jersey making knives out of his garage, it turns it into a business.
Dude,
Like you can make that happen to the point where I could leave a career that people thought I was nuts. And I probably am a little bit for leaving. Like they're like, you don't do that. I'm like, well, I'm gonna to then do this. And it's because we have these kind of platforms and everything available to us. I know a lot of people, and even myself, gripe about it at times, mainly because of people spot burning stuff and just being annoying. But it is a great opportunity that we all have to be able to actually do something different than just like be a miserable cop for the next 30 years until I retire and then probably get a heart attack at 65.
Dude, you downplay it, you really do, but especially me, I like the whole handmade side of things. I like the whole actually like somebody really tuned their craft and made a really high quality product. While like things like Gerber, they're like you can probably see they're probably on like a. I'm sorry, I keep slamming the table. You can
You're
probably.
getting kicked under the table right now.
He's
I
been doing
keep
that the entire
flicking his
time. I keep
fingers.
slamming my hand on the table. But like nobody made them, and if somebody did make them, they're getting paid like pennies on the dollar. There's no heart in it. Like the actual handmade things are like really where it's at. And
Yeah.
I think people are opening their eyes to that. That's why your business is doing great. And I mean, some random person from the suburbs might buy a Gerber, but like people that are actually into it, that actually like the handmade things, will go out and buy a product like yours because there's heart in it.
I think it's the same way with the decoy company with like the handmade decoys. So you had stated previously, like when somebody buys a knife from you, you're not selling them a showpiece. You're
Mhm.
selling them something to open up a pheasant, open up a goose, gut a deer, skin a raccoon, whatever you want to call it. Like with the decoys that I have, every single one I bought, I got the same question: are you going to hunt over these? And it's
Well,
like, well, maybe
maybe.
not, but I think they're going to sit on a shelf. But he's like, no, you should, they're working decoys, and same thing
Mhm.
with you. Like your knives aren't meant to sit on a shelf. I mean, they're pretty, they're gorgeous. Like you said earlier, like you're making your knives to be used.
Mhm.
And I don't discourage either because I know some guys like they get mad when their stuff doesn't get used. But at the end of the day, if they buy it, I have customers that have like 20 of my knives. There's no way they're using 20 of my knives on a daily basis unless they're walking in like freaking John Wick of knives.
There are people like that, I promise.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I've seen. Tactical Land is very funny.
tactical land.
Which
I got
won't
30 knives in my flak vest.
the guys that are wearing a quadruple XL Punisher t-shirt. I'm like, the only thing you're punishing is Krispy Kreme, so stop it. But we won't go down that route too much because you can see some of my opinions start to come out of these
I
kind
know
of things.
exactly the kind of people you're talking about.
The donut operators.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
Mhm. They're prepping for when the Krispy Kremes run out.
yes, they have, and even they have all the guns in the world, but they can't run a quarter mile. And you're like, guys, that's not going to help you out.
What are you
at
gonna
all,
do?
dude.
Hunker down in your house, homeboy?
Yeah, it's
Oh my god.
We
because
got him.
Oh, you
now you're
hurt me.
kicking. Now you're kicking him.
Oh, that might be one of the biggest breaks I've ever had. Holy shit! The only thing for punishing is Krispy Kreme.
He only laughs this hard when I'm road raging on the way home.
Well, it's funny
That's a
too
good
because
one.
even on the roads, like I don't normally have too much of Jersey accent, but my girlfriend says it comes out when I'm driving, and I'm like,
Oh,
Hey, you
yeah.
douchebag!
Yo, what
Yeah.
the fuck are you doing? That's
Hey,
not a fucking lane, dude.
we're not supposed to share the lanes. Get your own.
Oh wait, hold on. So
Nice
you're
blinker, asshole.
you're North Jersey. We're South Jersey. Joyzy.
Joyzy.
I have one question for you.
Shoot, I already know.
Is
OG
it-
or sub?
Is it no? That's a Philly thing.
Okay.
Is it pork roll or Taylor ham?
It's Taylor Ham up here.
God damn it!
And I know I'm
I
wrong.
really like
but
you too.
I understand I'm wrong, but I refuse to concede. That's just the problem with it. It's like,
Fair
We're gonna have to
at
edit
least I
that
know
out,
I'm
and then I'll
wrong.
just say pork roll.
Have AI dub me over saying
Yeah.
pork roll.
Oh man.
No, but up here, it's like I love it up here, and I love this state too because we have so much opportunity here, which is something that like a lot of states don't they don't have it. Like even when I was talking with some of the guys from the OKS Fisher podcast, they were like, "Wait, you're telling me you could drive an hour and go to the shore?" I'm like, "Yeah, the same boat I can go fishing for trout or pickerel or bass or whatever. Like I could go take down to go fish for fluke, and I'm going to do
Yeah.
that next week. Like
Yeah.
I could go down the road and go fish for Atlantic salmon. It's like we have everything up here, even the hunting up here, which is one thing that
Yep.
the hunting up here, it could be great depending where you're at. Like
Yeah.
up by me, like in my general area, it's not the best, mainly because everybody does. And even like when we moved here from Bergen County, my girlfriend's like, "Oh, we don't see a lot of deer around here." I'm like, "Yeah, because they get shot. That's
Mhm.
they don't like hanging out in people's neighborhoods around here, or else they end up in a freezer. That's why you don't see a ton of them around here. But
Well-
like in certain places, like even like Morris County and stuff like that, there are some big deer and big opportunity.
Well, so what I
To
was
get
going
out
to
on.
ask you was, have you seen anything about the Sandy Hook deer population?
Yeah, and there's New Jersey and its management is always
I,
hilarious.
I was gonna say, do you
Mhm.
think we'll ever see a time where they'll open up a season for select few permits?
It's not the problem of I don't think it's the state biologists that are giving us the problem. It's the people that get in people's ears. Like it's the same thing with the bear hunt in this state. Like the
Fair enough.
bears up by me are horrible. Like that's one of the biggest things I get worried about walking around at night around here is the damn bears because they don't give a shit.
No.
And especially during the years where we didn't have a bear hunt, they never got poked at by a human, so they had zero fear. I at one
Nope.
point had a bear walk into my shop while I was in it running power tools. And
Ooh.
granted, like my first reaction is like, it's fight or flight. Normally it's fight. And
You're
I'm
not
looking
fighting them.
around with a
I
whole
got a
bunch of
knife.
knives. And which one am I grabbing? And I'm like, I look up and I see the garage door over my head. I'm like, oh, maybe I should try this. And I go to slam the garage door shut as he's walking in, and then he ran off. But I'm like, I'm in there running freaking a 2x72 belt grinder. It's loud as hell. And he's just walking on in because that's where we have to keep our trash at night because they'll just come on in. And,
Yeah.
but they don't care. Even last year, I had to hit one with bear spray. And he gave me that look where I just got him with the bear spray. And he looked at me as he walked across the street and he's like, I got your number, bitch. And then walked away. Like, wasn't even like phased by the fact that I'm like, and I could tell he was a big one. I'm like, that's a bear who's been here before. He knows what that spray is. He knows what's going on. But he's like, I'm also not afraid of that, Mike. And that's a problem bear.
That's
And,
like tasing a crackhead.
well, and then I called the state to let them know about what happened and everything. Because even before I had to get the bear spray, I got in my truck and drove at it and honked at it. And it's like, why are you making a ruckus? Like, what are you doing? And I'm like, bro, you're in my yard. Get out of here. Like,
Just want your trash, man.
pretty much. But then the state told me that we don't have a bear problem in the state. We have a trash problem. And I'm like, okay. Or we have a lack of management because even I used to
wild.
work when I was a cop, I was in Bergen County for the majority of my career. And there is the overpopulation of deer there is going to be a major problem in this state very soon because we all get worried about CWD, EHD. And where do you think it's going to start? Places like Sandy Hook, places like Bergen County, where like the worst part about driving at night was not trying to hit a deer because I swear to God, some of these deer were suicidal. You'd be looking at them on the side of the road and you'd be like, don't you do it.
And then they do it.
And then they do it. Yep.
Yeah.
And you're like, what do you like? You're waiting to find a suicide note on the deer after you hit it. But like, but then whenever they would propose a deer hunt, you would have everybody from Jersey City, Hoboken, New York coming and protesting. And everybody that filled the council room, none of them were from the area that actually had a problem. Just like with the bear hunt, nobody who's voting against it is the same guy as me who's having to like shut his garage door before a bear walks in with it.
It's the Disneyfication of it. And here's why I think the Sandy Hook thing is an issue. I don't know if you've been to Sandy Hook. I went to Sandy Hook. It was like a little mini road trip or whatever. There's so many tourists that go there. There was a line to get in to the place. Now there's fishermen there and stuff like that. I don't know how they could actually handle a hunting season on that. Do you know what I mean?
There's not that many people in the fall though.
Yeah, I was gonna say it's got to be more of a June to August.
Yeah.
There's the fishermen, and what is it? There's the military base up there. I mean, there is people there, so I could understand how it could be a problem. But if the deer population is that bad, they need to shut it down and just let deer hunters in.
You could hunt in confined spaces. I mean, like I've hunted
yes.
all over the state and I've gotten permissions and like not going to name exact locations, but Bergen County nurseries where they have issues with deer that I've gotten permission to hunt. Where I had to get a permit through the town and everything else. But then like at the corners of the property, somebody's walking their dog. But it's enough acreage in the nursery where you're still legally allowed to hunt. It can
bow
be
or
done
shotgun.
if it's done with bow. And even if you have a crossbow or something, those things are like laser beams. Like that is an excellent
50-60 yards
management tool. Like, and I know some people are like poo-pooing crossbows. Like, I'm thinking about getting one this year just because
I shoot one.
I got arthritis in my shoulder, and it's probably from shooting a bow too much when I was younger and with improper form.
You don't got to justify it with us. I don't have any problems. I shoot one. I
Yeah,
just like the scope.
I rode bulls for 7 years. I got more shoulder problems than an 80-year-old.
But you broke
man.
my crossbow the day
Yeah.
I got it, so it's okay.
Well, it wasn't his crossbow. That's why.
Exactly.
Yeah, I know. He cranked it the wrong way, and now my crank doesn't work at all anymore.
But they're management tools, and those things could be used very effectively.
Mhm.
And two, it's like there's people that want to suggest hiring sharpshooters. I'm like, and now you're going to pay money when the other solution is people that are going to pay you to do it. We're willing to pay you.
Oh,
to fix
yeah.
The problem.
It's
And
like when golf courses go and gas out or poison the eggs of geese. It's like, why not shut the golf course down for a day? Let some goose hunters come on. They'll clear your
Could you
problem very easily.
Could you imagine putting our decoys in a golf pond and then sitting on the side of it and the flag's right there? That'd be so much fun.
people in those areas too are so detached from more reality because
Yeah.
their food comes in plastic wrap from the store.
Mhm.
That's
Absolutely.
where food comes from, and no animal is
Mhm.
harmed when you buy your steak from the butcher. And it's like, well, where do you
Where do you
think it
think
came
the
from?
steak came from? Yeah.
But we get it all the time. You know, I've raised cattle my entire life, third generation, and we see it with the customers we get. It's like, I don't know, they feel better because they buy it from us. It's
Yeah.
weird. It's like we have a more personal connection with it. Like you just bought a select animal for butchering, and you feel better about it than what you did from the grocery
Well,
store.
the animals are happy. I mean, if you buy the ones in the grocery store, they're the ones that are stuffed into the 4x6
Stop
pen,
talking.
right?
No, you're
No?
not right.
I'm not right.
No, you're not right. Unless you're talking about chickens, but that's a
Well,
whole different
yeah.
topic.
It's that people want to know where the food's coming from
Yeah,
and where it's
yeah.
clean, and and it's trust. That's the
Yeah.
biggest thing with everything is they trust you guys aren't steermongers. They're going face to face with the people that are actually doing it. And the problem is that people just though, and I'm not saying it's like a bad thing because like I
No,
said
no,
before,
not at all.
I did not grow up doing this stuff. Like my first experience in the outdoors was thankfully because of the Boy Scouts. But then I
Mhm.
started fishing and hunting more into college and everything. And that's where it really got expanded. So I was lucky to have
Early
people-
onset.
no, late onset. That is the term.
Late onset.
If
Sorry,
I need
late
to be
onset.
classified by the hunting therapist. I'm a late onset hunting enthusiast.
Will they put you on for
And a
that, Alexa, bro?
multi-species angler. Because I fish with different styles. But we'll go into that rabbit hole later. But like I was lucky to have people teach me, and I was open to learn. And that's where people run into the issue is where like they think that people don't understand or stupid, ignorant. And I'm like, well, they may just be ignorant because they weren't exposed to these kind of things. Because when you grow up in school, you have your food served on a freaking tray that's shoved in front of you that comes from somebody scooping it out with a giant spoon. That's where your food comes from. They don't have these kind of experiences with this kind of stuff. So it's on people like us to not be a bunch of dickheads to people that don't know. So
Absolutely.
it's like it's even like when you see the new guys getting out, like your first reaction be like, "Oh, look at these googans coming out." But I love helping people if they're not a douche about it. You know, if they're actually like, I had some kids on the river that was just fishing over on Wanacue, and
Stop pinching me.
they wanted to know what I was fishing. They were just super curious and everything else, and they were like high schoolers. And I could tell that they had no idea what they were doing. They had pretty much a bank sinker tied to a freaking power bait. I'm like, that thing's gonna
Hell
like,
yeah.
but I'm like the bank sinker was something I'd use in the surf. And I'm like, no, guys, no. And they're like, what are you using? I'm like, guys, you need the trout mag, you need the light jig head, and just drift it in here through this little
Oh, you're a trout magnet guy?
all day.
Hell yeah. All right.
Do you know?
Cool. You just redeemed yourself on the Taylor hand thing.
Now I'm back in the morning.
Yeah, you're good.
But remember, I'm also a multi-species angler where I also love to fly fish and tie my own flies. So now I don't know if that's going the other way.
You tie your own flies, so we're cool.
Yeah,
But it
all right.
depends because it's like if I'm going to go fishing like the Wanacue, I'm not up in the upper D. You know, we all know what we're going after. We're going after truck trout. It's
Yeah, trouser trout.
As
Yeah.
long as you're not fly fishing Palatine Lake, we're
For
okay with
bluegill.
you.
yeah.
So, do you know Boondocks Outdoors? Are you
No.
familiar with them? They're another New Jersey podcaster.
They're
that-
up more your way.
They do the media thing and all that. And we went to their game dinner this year, and we were talking about how people that don't understand kind of view what
To
we do.
someone that completely
And we-
does not understand.
We talked to a dude, and I mean, we can tell you off the air what
Just keep
this
going.
person was like. And we kind of explained to them, we're like, hey, we eat the game we go after. Like it's not like a
We're not a
killing thing for
merciless
fun.
killer.
Yeah, it's like we eat the game, we respect the game. Ducks, I think, are one of the most beautiful birds in the world. And my girl doesn't understand that, for example, like why would you hunt them if they're beautiful? I'm like, it's a mix of both. It's conservation as well as like an appreciation, I guess, is the best way to see. Because even if we don't shoot some of these birds, it's beautiful seeing them fly in the morning.
So even you listen to Zach Hansen and the OKS Trapper.
Yeah.
He has driven this point home, and I love it. It's my favorite point of view, and I'll say it till the day I die. Me as a specialized, preferably whatever you want to call it, I
Special needs.
love to trap raccoons. I don't think there's another group of people that have a more respect for the animal we're pursuing than the guys that are pursuing them, especially trappers.
Mm-hmm.
I have more respect for a raccoon than most.
But where I was going with that was like when you explain to these people like what it is that you do, how it is that you're helping the environment as well, that it's not all to waste, they end up coming around to it. It's more of an information war that we're with these people. They only see like the people that
Bambi's dad
are
getting shot.
or letting go raccoons out of dog proofs or something like that. You know what I mean?
They don't understand what the biggest difference, and it comes back to like even like Zach talks about, where it's like they could be fond of going in the outdoors and stuff like that, but they are observers in nature where we are participating.
Yes,
And it's
absolutely.
a much different connection. I've never gone duck hunting or goose hunting, but one of my
We're gonna
favorite
change
things
that this year.
I'd love to
Yeah.
is to rattle in deer when I got a one spot out in West Jersey that I'm not going to mention even where it is, but it's
Don't do it.
West Jersey, where I don't know what it is, but these are the most vocal deer I've ever seen, and it's nuts. Like even I shared it with one of the guys I work with or used to work with. Actually, he quit the job too. It's fucking great. But
you just started a whole rally, didn't
Yeah,
you?
you did.
yeah, I actually did.
We're going on permanent strike. Fuck
Yeah.
y'all.
Yeah, that police department lost a few officers after I started that trend of saying, yeah, we don't need this. But the deer over there, like I've rattled in deer from like 300 yards away, and I got a video of one of it too because I was being the GoPro guy. And but it was so cool to be the whole entire time working this deer all the way across this field, where like I'd be grunting at it and rattling, and then like he'd get so mad, and he's like, I'm gonna go kick your ass wherever you're up there, and then he wouldn't find me, and he'd just get turned around, and I'd do it again, and just give like the old deer fu to him, and be like, "You're serious?" And he'd come back, and I got 2 deer from like over 300 yards away this place, but the entire time I'm engaging with the animal.
Yeah.
There's
Yeah.
nothing you can do hiking or camping that is that engaging with nature. You can observe
Yep.
nature, but you're not participating with.
That's why I always come back to say that's why I fell in love with goose hunting. That's why goose hunting and trapping is like my shtick. Trapping's becoming my shtick. I think along the same lines with Ryan. It's just so personal when even with duck hunting, if you're in that type of situation, you know, you don't call all the time with duck hunting, but with goose hunting, I'm calling it almost every flock I see. And with turkey hunting, I think turkey hunting is a very personal ordeal.
Yep.
You know, I'm shooting geese at 40 yards, 35 yards, 30 yards. You're shooting turkeys at 15 yards.
Yeah.
You're right.
And a lot of times you're shooting rattling bucks at 15 to 20 yards too.
And
You know, so I think that's where it comes into play with, like I said before, we have more respect for these creatures than I think any PETA person will ever have.
Mm-hmm.
but the best thing you could do is just take somebody, even if you're saying we're not even going to shoot anything, just come with. Like just come with. And just we don't even have to shoot today. We could call them in, we could see this kind of stuff and get people interested, because the biggest problem that we run into is that when we try to
Ryan.
exclude people because they don't understand, you know,
Yep.
and you
Why
want
are you
to
pointing at
have
me?
them all be is Ryan the one who kicks everybody away?
No, I was saying like so Ryan, we went on a lot of duck hunts and a lot of goose hunts
I'm
before.
late onset hunter.
Yeah.
I think that's yeah.
Ryan got
Well,
back from
onset
college
hunter.
and
Yeah,
It didn't have
I
anything
had to
to
get
do.
rid of the college brainwashing, and Brian did it with hunting.
so what I mean was Ryan went on a lot of duck hunts and a lot of goose hunts and even a deer hunt before he shot his first critter, you know. We trapped a lot before we no I
No,
can't say
trapping
that.
we went in on it
Yeah,
together.
we got pretty good at, but Ryan watched the show for a long time before he participated in it, and I think that helped him a lot with that.
Well, it's also cool to see the journey of learning these things.
Yes.
Because
Mhm.
and even like when it comes to hunting and fishing, I never say I'm a Sharpie. I know a thing or two about a thing or two. And even with the knives, like you'll never ever, and I challenge anybody to this, to find a single fucking post where I say I make the best knife there is. Because I will never say that, because we're always learning, because that's the fun part. Because once you learn everything,
Absolutely.
it gets boring. And
Oh
that's also
yeah.
at times when like going after truck trout and stuff like that, after fooling fish in the upper Delaware for years, you're kind of like, all right, this is a little, but sometimes it's
Garlic
fun just
scented
to put
power
a,
bait.
well, it's just fun to put a trout mag in their face every now and then, just because you're bored and got nothing else going
Yeah.
on. I don't feel like driving 2 hours to the Delaware River to go up there when, it's just to get outside for a bit. But when you always want to be learning, you're trying something new. So it's like, it's always important to have people open and helpful, because like we always complain about the state and the rules and the regulation. I don't necessarily want more people hunting and fishing in my spots. But we need more people that aren't against it. That's
Mhm.
what we run into. The problem is that people, like, I know plenty of people, and even like my girlfriend's one of them. She's like, she'll eat venison. We're about to cook striper later on tonight. She has no problem with that. She
I'm
just doesn't
jealous.
want to
Where do
be
you
the
live?
one who's, oh, it's going to be good. That's why we're excited to go down to, we're going to be spending, my parents, they're classic Northeast people now, where they retired and now they have a place down in Waretown in the 55 plus community, and they have a place in the villages. So it's like there's just snowbirds now, but they're 5 minutes from the Oyster Creek boat launch.
Hell
So
yeah.
I'll be spending some time down there, hopefully going after fluke. We'll see with this weather. It's just been,
Windy.
Wishy washy.
it's Jersey just sucks. It just doesn't
Nope.
know what to do, because later on today, it's like it's going to be 40 degrees here tonight. And you're like,
Yeah.
I was just down in the city. I wasn't happy to be there, but I was in the city and it was 91 degrees there. And now, like, my boiler is going to be turning on tonight. It's,
Mm-hmm.
but we'll see what ends up happening. But we're lucky to have all this opportunity here. And I don't know. I'm happy to get out, happy to have the state. And we just need to get people more educated on what we do, and that we're not just like killing Bambi or
Yeah.
like gutting a fish and drowning myself in its blood. That's not what we do.
Yeah.
Like, that's not what this is at all.
I think that's the perfect analogy, is get people more educated.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It's
You
an
know.
information war.
Yeah.
It is.
So,
Because
well, look.
yeah.
No, go ahead.
No, it's just that when people aren't educated, that's how can they make the right decision if they're not given the right information?
Mhm.
Exactly. I agree 100%. But look, Tom, we're going to have you back on again.
I
Mhm.
appreciate
Because
that.
we
I had
have-
a lot of fun. We didn't talk a lot about the knives, and I did have more knife
I'm not gonna lie, it's
questions.
kind of fucking nice not talking about knives all day. Even though I'm on a podcast supposed to be talking about knives to help sell the stuff. I get it. But it's also fun to just like talk fishing and hunting. That's
Mhm.
Yeah.
not for nothing. Part of this, and just I'll end on that. It's like when I was starting this business, I never wanted to be like or consider myself a knife maker. I always
Mhm.
wanted to be in the outdoor industry. And
Mhm.
that's kind of how I see this as. Because
That's
all the
great.
days of working in the tackle shop, we always are talking about how we could get in the industry.
Mhm.
And
yeah.
and
Yeah.
I love it when people are like, I want to get in the industry. It's like, that's very big, this big topic you're talking about. But now I kind of see myself in it. And that's why I'm so happy to do this, because now I see myself participating in this, getting more into it. And I'm like, all right, this is a lot more fun and more of who I am, is to do this kind of stuff. So
Mhm.
I see it more being the outdoor industry than necessarily like a knife maker or a knife brand.
Yeah. No, I think that's what we appreciate the most about this is like I said, you.
This was actually
Yeah.
really, this was a lot of fun.
So-
I mean that from the bottom of my heart.
Well, when we have you back on, we are 100% going to take a deep dive into your upbringing, or you getting into hunting and fishing and stuff. We didn't get a whole lot into it. That's something I want to focus on the next time we have you on in a couple weeks. But if you're interested in coming,
Yeah,
back
man,
on.
I'd definitely be game.
Yeah. So real quick, before we end the podcast, where can people find you? How can people find you? Stuff like that.
So knivesbynuge.com is the website. We just had it redone, so bear with me. It's still a little work in progress. I made a mistake by launching a brand new website before the largest knife show that I have to do every year. And I swear it's like Christmas. You get surprised every time it shows up, even though it's on the same day every year. So the website is up and running. I'm still doing some fine tuning. I know there's some stupid typos in there. Give me a break. And Knives by Nuge on Instagram. And those are the two main platforms right now. I also do a podcast that is called Raise the Flag Podcast. You're not going to hear me on the last couple episodes because my world has been fire up recently with the business, trying to keep up with everything. But it's me, it's Nick, who's the associate editor of Rico Off Grid, and Heather, she owns P&W Bushcraft. We talk with all sorts of different people in the outdoor industry. It's a lot of fun, whether it's just talking about our business, talking about other people's experiences, and just whatever nonsense or fuckery that happens on it. It's sort of like this, where it just sometimes it just goes. So
You just bullshit for an hour and
fun.
have a great time.
Exactly, and get some cool people on, just like you guys do. It's a lot more fun that way. So those are the places where you can find me at.
All right, thank you, Tom. We appreciate having you on.
Appreciate you guys.
Thank you. You want to do the